There are moments in life when everything around you tells you to give up. The doors are closed, the answers are delayed, the prayers seem unheard, and the future looks uncertain. But what if I told you that the very thing you have called impossible is the very thing that is on its way to you? The impossible is coming. Most people misunderstand impossible. They see it as a wall. They see it as an ending. They see it as proof that something cannot happen. But impossible is not a declaration of defeat. It is an opportunity for God to demonstrate His power. If everything in your life could be explained by your own ability, then you would never need faith. Faith begins where human strength ends. God will often allow you to stand in situations where your education cannot help you, where your money cannot rescue you, where your connections cannot open the door, because He wants you to understand that your source has never been people. Your source has always been Him. Sometimes God will let the problem grow bigger, not to destroy you, but to stretch your capacity to believe. Because small faith cannot carry great blessings. Many people want miracles, but they fear impossible situations. You cannot ask for divine intervention and then panic when human solutions disappear. The impossible is the environment where miracles are born. When the doctors say there is no answer, when the opportunity disappears, when the relationship seems broken, when the burden feels too heavy, that may be the very moment heaven begins to move. God often works in silence before He moves in power. Silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. Waiting does not mean abandonment. Sometimes heaven is preparing what earth cannot yet see. Your challenge is not to understand everything. Your challenge is to trust. Faith is not pretending the problem does not exist. Faith is believing that God is greater than the problem. You may not see the way, you may not know the timing, but if God made the promise, then the impossible must eventually bow to His authority. What people call impossible is simply something they cannot control. But God is not limited by time. He is not restricted by systems. He is not intimidated by obstacles. He speaks to storms. He opens closed doors. He creates paths where there are none. And if He did it before, He can do it again. Do not let your present condition define your expectation. Your current reality is temporary. Your pain is temporary. Your confusion is temporary. But the power of God is eternal. Stand firm. Keep believing. Keep praying. Keep preparing, because the impossible is not far away. It is coming. The breakthrough you thought was delayed is coming. The answer you have been waiting for is coming. The restoration you stopped hoping for is coming. The peace you desperately need is coming. The impossible is coming. And when it arrives, it will remind you that what was beyond your ability was never beyond God's power. There are moments in life when circumstances seem to close in from every direction. The doors you expected to open remain shut. The answers you desperately need do not come. The situation becomes heavier, and what once felt manageable begins to feel impossible. It is in these moments that fear often begins to speak the loudest. It tells you that there is no way forward, no solution, no hope. But what if impossible situations are not signs of defeat? What if they are invitations for divine intervention? Human nature seeks control. We feel secure when we can understand the process, predict the outcome, and rely on our own strength. But faith does not grow in environments where everything is easy. Faith is developed when we are forced to stand in places where our own ability is no longer enough. Impossible situations strip away our dependence on ourselves and redirect our attention to the one whose power has no limits. Sometimes God allows us to face what we cannot solve because He wants us to recognize who our true source is. If every answer came from our own wisdom, if every breakthrough came through our own effort, we might never learn to trust beyond what we can see. But when human solutions fail, heaven's possibilities begin to emerge. What looks impossible to you is simply an opportunity for God to reveal what He can do. Divine intervention often begins where human understanding ends. The very place where you feel weakest may be the place where God chooses to show His greatest strength. The challenge is not always to find the answer immediately. Sometimes the challenge is to remain faithful while waiting, to believe when there is no visible sign, to trust when the path ahead is unclear, to stand firm when every voice around you says to give up. Impossible situations have a way of exposing what is truly in your heart. They reveal whether your confidence is in circumstances or in God. They force you to decide whether you will live by fear or by faith. Fear focuses on limitations. Faith focuses on possibilities. Fear asks, how can this happen? Faith says, God will make a way. Many of the greatest breakthroughs come after the darkest moments. Often, just when it seems there is no hope left, something begins to shift. Not because circumstances suddenly changed on their own, but because divine power entered what human hands could not fix. Do not misunderstand the silence of God. Silence is not absence. Delay is not rejection. Sometimes God is working behind the scenes, arranging what you cannot yet see. What feels like waiting may actually be preparation. What feels like weakness may be building your strength. What feels impossible may be positioning you for a miracle. So when life places you in front of something that seems too big, too hard, or too broken, do not lose heart. That impossible situation may not be the end of your story. It may be the very invitation for God to step in and do what only He can do. There are moments in life when everything around you seems to define what is possible. Your circumstances speak loudly. Your challenges feel overwhelming. The obstacles in front of you appear solid and unmovable. The present reality can become so powerful that it convinces you that what you see now is all there is. But faith has the power to change your perspective. Faith allows you to see beyond present limitations. Faith does not ignore reality, but it refuses to be confined by it. It acknowledges the difficulty, yet it believes there is something greater beyond what the eyes can see. Many people become trapped by what is visible. They measure their future by their current resources, their present condition, or their past experiences. They allow temporary limitations to determine permanent expectations. But faith teaches you to look beyond what is in front of you and trust in what is possible through God. Your present situation may say one thing, but faith dares to believe another. It sees opportunity where others see obstacles. It sees growth in seasons of struggle. It sees purpose in moments of pain. Faith understands that what is visible is not always final. What you are experiencing now is only a chapter, not the whole story. One of the greatest challenges in life is learning not to let your surroundings control your vision. It is easy to believe when everything is going well. It is easy to feel hopeful when doors are opening and answers are coming quickly. But true faith is revealed when there is no evidence, when progress seems delayed, and when the future feels uncertain. Faith gives you the ability to stand in the middle of confusion and still expect clarity. It allows you to face uncertainty without surrendering your peace. Faith stretches your vision beyond your current limitations. It reminds you that your abilities are not your boundaries. Your resources are not your limits. Your setbacks do not define your destiny. What appears impossible to human understanding is often the place where divine possibilities begin. Too many people surrender their dreams because they cannot see how they will happen. They need every detail explained before they are willing to move forward. But faith does not require complete understanding. It requires trust. It is the confidence that even when the path is hidden, God still knows the way. Faith changes how you interpret delay. Instead of seeing it as denial, you begin to see it as preparation. Instead of viewing obstacles as barriers, you recognize them as opportunities for growth. Instead of fearing uncertainty, you embrace the possibility that something greater is unfolding behind the scenes. What you see today may look limited, but faith invites you to see with a different perspective. Beyond the struggle, there is purpose. Beyond the waiting, there is progress. Beyond the limitation, there is expansion. Do not allow your current reality to define your future. Lift your eyes beyond what is temporary. Trust beyond what is visible. Believe beyond what is logical. Faith allows you to see not just where you are, but where you are capable of going. And often, the moment you begin to see beyond your limitations is the moment everything begins to change. There are moments in life when everything we understand tells us that a situation cannot change. Human reasoning reaches its limit. Logic says there is no solution. Experience says the opportunity has passed. Circumstances seem fixed, and every natural sign points toward impossibility. Yet time and again we are reminded of one powerful truth. God works beyond human logic and natural boundaries. Human logic depends on what can be measured, explained, and predicted. It looks at facts, patterns, and visible evidence. While these things are valuable, they are also limited. They can only take us as far as human understanding can reach. But God is not confined by what people can explain. He is not restricted by what seems reasonable. He does not need favorable conditions in order to act. What appears impossible within the natural world is still fully possible in His hands. Many people struggle because they expect God to move according to their own timeline and understanding. They want every answer to make sense. They want every step to be clear. They want to understand how something will happen before they are willing to believe it can happen. But faith often begins where explanation ends. There are times when God intentionally leads us beyond what we can comprehend so that we learn to trust His wisdom above our own. When human logic says there is no way forward, God can create a path where none exists. When natural boundaries say something cannot happen, God can remove limits that no human effort could overcome. He is not limited by time, by resources, by systems, or by the opinions of others. He can restore what seems permanently broken. He can open doors that no person can unlock. He can transform situations that have remained unchanged for years. What makes divine intervention so powerful is that it often happens in ways we do not expect. God does not always follow human methods. Sometimes he works in silence while we wait. Sometimes he delays what we want because he is preparing something greater. Sometimes he allows us to stand in uncertainty so we can discover that his power is strongest when our own strength is gone. Natural boundaries are real, but they are not final. Human limitations are real, but they do not define what God can do. A closed door may look permanent, but God can open another one. A delay may feel discouraging, but it may be part of a larger plan. A difficult season may seem endless, but God can change everything in a single moment. Trusting God means accepting that his ways are higher than our understanding. It means believing even when the situation makes no sense. It means holding on when logic tells you to let go. Faith is not built on what seems possible. It is built on who God is. So when you face situations that exceed your understanding, do not be discouraged. What is beyond your ability is not beyond his power. What confuses you does not confuse him. What feels impossible in the natural may simply be the beginning of something supernatural. God works beyond human logic and natural boundaries, and that is exactly why hope should never be lost. There are seasons in life when heaven feels quiet. You pray, but there seems to be no immediate answer. You wait, but nothing appears to change. You ask for direction, yet all you hear is silence. In those moments, it is easy to assume that nothing is happening. It is easy to believe that God has forgotten, that your prayers have gone unheard, or that your situation will remain the same. But silence does not mean absence. Often God works in silence before he moves in power. Human nature seeks visible signs. We want evidence that something is happening. We want progress we can measure and answers we can understand. Silence makes us uncomfortable because it removes our ability to control the process. It forces us to trust without explanation. Yet some of God's greatest work happens in the hidden places, far beyond what our eyes can see. Silence is often the space where preparation takes place. Before a breakthrough becomes visible, something deeper is being arranged. Before a door opens, circumstances may be shifting in ways you do not yet understand. Before an answer arrives, your character may be developing the strength required to carry what is coming. What feels like waiting may actually be divine preparation. Many people mistake silence for rejection. They assume that because they do not see immediate movement, God is not involved. But divine timing does not operate according to human urgency. God is never rushed, never delayed, and never unaware. His silence is not inactivity. His quietness is not weakness. Often, what feels like stillness is simply the calm before powerful movement. Think about how often growth happens unseen. Seeds develop beneath the surface long before they break through the ground. Foundations are built underground before a structure rises. In the same way, God often builds what cannot yet be seen. He strengthens faith in silence. He shapes patience in silence. He teaches trust in silence. Silence also reveals the condition of your heart. It shows whether your faith depends on visible results or on confidence in God's character. Anyone can believe when answers come quickly, but true faith remains steady when heaven feels quiet. It chooses trust over fear. It chooses patience over panic. It understands that God does not need to speak loudly to be powerfully present. Some of the most powerful moments in life happen after long seasons of uncertainty. The breakthrough arrives, the door opens, the answer comes, and suddenly you realize that God was working all along. Every delay had purpose. Every unanswered moment had meaning. Every silent day was part of a greater plan. Do not fear the silence. Do not rush to conclusions because you cannot yet see movement. What feels hidden is not forgotten. What feels delayed is not denied. God may be arranging what your eyes cannot yet perceive. Stay faithful in the quiet. Continue to pray. Continue to believe. Continue to prepare your heart. Because when God chooses to move, what was once silent can suddenly become powerful. Often the greatest displays of his power are preceded by seasons where all you could do was trust him in the silence. There are moments in life when delay feels frustrating. You have prayed, planned, and worked, yet the answer has not come. The opportunity you expected has not arrived. The breakthrough you hoped for seems distant. It is easy to become discouraged when things do not happen according to your timeline. Human nature wants immediate results. We want progress we can see and answers we can understand. But often what feels like delay is not denial. It is preparation for something greater. Delay has a way of testing patience and revealing what truly lives in the heart. It forces you to confront whether your trust depends on quick results or on confidence in God's timing. Anyone can remain hopeful when things are moving forward. But true faith is developed in seasons where nothing appears to be changing. It is in those quiet and uncertain moments that strength is built, character is refined, and deeper trust begins to grow. What you call delay may actually be divine preparation. Sometimes the blessing you desire requires a version of you that does not yet exist. Sometimes the opportunity ahead demands wisdom, maturity, or endurance that can only be developed through waiting. If what you are asking for arrives too soon, it might overwhelm you instead of helping you. God often prepares the person before he releases the promise. Delay also teaches you to detach from control. It reminds you that not everything can be forced by effort alone. There are moments when you must stop trying to manage every detail and simply trust the process. This does not mean becoming passive. It means continuing to grow, continuing to prepare, and continuing to believe even when you cannot yet see results. Many people give up too early because they misunderstand the purpose of waiting. They assume that silence means nothing is happening. They interpret closed doors as permanent rejection. But often, behind what appears to be stillness, things are being arranged, circumstances are shifting, opportunities are forming, lessons are being learned. The preparation is invisible, but it is essential. Think of how much of life develops unseen. Seeds grow beneath the soil before they break through the surface. Foundations are laid underground before a building can rise. In the same way, God often works in hidden ways before he reveals visible outcomes. The waiting season is not wasted. It is where roots are strengthened and capacity is expanded. Delay can protect you from what is premature and position you for what is best. It can redirect you from what is good toward what is greater. What feels like an interruption may actually be an invitation to become ready for something beyond your expectations. Do not measure progress only by what you can see. Growth is still happening. Preparation is still unfolding. Your story is still moving forward. Trust that the timing matters. Trust that what is taking longer may carry deeper purpose. Trust that what feels delayed today may one day make perfect sense. Sometimes the very thing you wish would happen now is being held back because something greater is being prepared. And when the moment finally arrives, you may realize that the delay was not your obstacle. It was part of your blessing. There are seasons in life that test everything within you. Seasons when the weight feels heavier than expected, when answers seem distant, and when every step forward feels like a struggle. These are the moments that can make you question your strength, your direction, and even your faith. Hard seasons have a way of making everything feel uncertain. Yet often, what feels like your hardest season may be the very place where your greatest breakthrough is being prepared. Pain has a way of narrowing your vision. It can make you focus only on what is wrong, what is missing, and what has not yet changed. It can convince you that difficulty means defeat. But hardship does not always mean something is falling apart. Sometimes it means something is being built. Sometimes what feels like pressure is actually preparation. A breakthrough is not always immediate and it is not always obvious. It often begins beneath the surface, long before there is any visible sign. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Growth often takes place in hidden places. Strength is developed quietly. Character is refined through challenge. Endurance is built in the moments when giving up feels easier than continuing. Your hardest season may be shaping you into someone capable of carrying what is ahead. The blessing you desire may require a stronger version of you. The purpose you are called to fulfill may demand greater wisdom, patience, and trust. What feels like delay may actually be development. What feels like struggle may be stretching your capacity for something greater. Many people walk away too soon because they mistake discomfort for failure. They assume that because the season is difficult, the outcome must be negative. But some of the most powerful transformations happen in seasons of uncertainty. The very challenges that seem to be breaking you may actually be preparing you. Hard seasons also teach dependence. They remind you that your strength has limits, but God's power does not. They bring you to places where self-reliance is no longer enough, where faith becomes more than an idea. It becomes your anchor. In these moments, you begin to understand that breakthrough is not just about changing your circumstances. It is also about changing you. Sometimes the greatest breakthrough is not the opening of a door, but the growth that happened while you were waiting for it. It is the peace you gained in uncertainty, the resilience you discovered in weakness, the trust you developed when there was no visible answer. Do not judge your future by your current struggle. The difficulty of this season does not determine the outcome of your story. What feels heavy now may one day become the testimony that strengthens someone else. What feels confusing today may later reveal a purpose you could not yet understand. Stay faithful in the hard season. Keep moving, even when progress feels slow. Keep believing, even when the answers are unclear. Keep trusting, even when the path is hidden. Because sometimes your greatest breakthrough is not beyond the struggle, it is being formed within it. And the very season that tested you the most may become the season that changed everything. There are seasons in life when everything feels heavier than usual. The prayers seem longer, the waiting feels harder, and the answers you desperately need appear distant. It can feel like you are doing everything right, yet nothing seems to be changing. You keep moving forward, but the progress feels invisible. In those difficult moments, it is easy to believe that your struggle is a sign that something is going wrong. But what if your hardest season is not working against you? What if it is preparing you for your greatest breakthrough? Many people misunderstand difficult seasons. They assume hardship means failure. They believe that challenges are proof that they're being delayed or denied. But often the seasons that stretch you the most are the ones that are shaping you for something greater. Pressure does not always mean destruction. Sometimes it means transformation. Sometimes what feels like breaking is actually the process of becoming. A breakthrough is not always sudden. It is often developing long before you can see it. Just because there is no visible evidence does not mean nothing is happening. Some of the most important work takes place beneath the surface. Just as roots grow deep before a tree rises high, your inner strength is often being built during the seasons when outward progress seems slow. Your hardest season may be preparing qualities within you that comfort could never develop. Patience is built in waiting. Endurance is formed in struggle. Wisdom grows in uncertainty. Faith becomes stronger when there is no clear sign of change. The very challenges you wish would disappear may be teaching you lessons that will carry you into your next chapter. It is easy to trust when life feels stable. It is easy to believe when prayers are answered quickly. But true growth often happens when everything around you feels uncertain. Hard seasons reveal what truly anchors your heart. They show whether your peace depends on circumstances or on something deeper. They teach you to rely on God when your own strength is not enough. Sometimes the breakthrough is not only about changing your situation. Sometimes the breakthrough is happening within you. You may be waiting for an open door, while God is building the character you need to walk through it. You may be asking for immediate relief, while He is developing the strength that will sustain you long after the challenge is gone. Do not underestimate what can be happening in this difficult season. What feels like delay may be preparation. What feels like silence may be hidden activity. What feels like weakness may actually be the beginning of greater strength. Keep moving forward, even if the steps feel small. Keep believing, even when the evidence is limited. Keep trusting, even when the answers are not yet visible. Your hardest season may not be the end of your story. It may be the chapter where everything begins to change. Hidden beneath the struggle may be the breakthrough you have been praying for. And one day, you may look back and realize that the season that challenged you the most was the very season that prepared you for everything that was coming next. There are moments in life when the situation in front of you feels impossible. The challenge seems too great, the burden too heavy, and the answer too far away. You may look at your circumstances and wonder how anything could ever change. The obstacles seem permanent, the pain feels endless. The uncertainty can make it difficult to imagine a better outcome. But one of the most powerful truths to hold on to is this: what looks impossible today can become your testimony tomorrow. What feels overwhelming in this moment is not necessarily the final chapter of your story. Present struggles have a way of convincing you that nothing will ever improve. Fear tells you that the current situation defines your future. Doubt whispers that there is no way forward. But your present reality is not always a reflection of what is possible. Sometimes it is simply the place where transformation begins. A testimony is often born out of a season that once seemed unbearable. The stories that inspire others usually begin with uncertainty, pain, and challenges that appeared impossible to overcome. What makes the testimony powerful is not the absence of struggle. It is the evidence that something greater carried you through it. The situations you face today may feel too difficult to understand. You may not see how healing will come. You may not know how the door will open. You may not understand how peace can return. But just because you cannot yet see the outcome does not mean the outcome does not exist. Faith allows you to believe beyond what is visible. It reminds you that what is impossible for human strength is still possible with God. The same challenge that causes you to feel weak may become the story that reveals His power. The very struggle you wish would end may one day become the reason someone else finds hope. Growth often happens in the middle of difficulty. Strength is built when you continue despite uncertainty. Trust deepens when you choose to believe without clear evidence. Your character is being shaped, your faith is being stretched, and your perspective is being transformed. Even now, in the middle of what feels impossible, something meaningful may be taking place. Do not let today's pain convince you that tomorrow holds no promise. Circumstances can change. Doors can open. Healing can come. Answers can arrive when you least expect them. What feels broken today may one day be restored. What feels lost may be found again. What seems impossible now may soon become the story you tell of how everything changed. One day, you may look back on this season with a different perspective. What once brought tears may become a reminder of strength. What once caused fear may become evidence of faith. What once seemed impossible may become the testimony that proves how far you have come. Hold on through the uncertainty. Keep trusting through the silence. Keep believing beyond what you can see, because the impossible you face today may not be here to defeat you. It may be here to prepare a testimony that will one day remind you and others that nothing is beyond the reach of God. And if you are standing in a place right now that feels impossible, don't give up. Don't walk away, because this may not be the end of your story. It may be the beginning of your testimony. What is impossible today is already on its way to becoming proof that God still turns darkness into light and struggles into victory.